Hi, I'm Dave. Well, I just finished shoveling out from a nor'easter. Nice early February storm. Here in New England, we get our share of snow. There's many different kinds of snow and many different ways to describe snow. And stick around, I'll explain them all to you. New England is really kind of a subculture of the rest of the country, and there are things that make it unique and different. And one of the things is the way we talk about things, the way we refer to things. So in this series, I'm going to be teaching you how to talk like a New Englander. And today I'm going to start with snow, talking about the different kinds of snow. So we just finished cleaning up from a nor'easter. And people get pretty excited about nor'easters. Let me explain to you why. So in the atmosphere, there are pockets of air that are either low pressure or high pressure. High pressure areas are usually associated with nice weather, and low pressure areas are usually associated with storms. Now, up here in the northern hemisphere, the air circulates around a low pressure area counterclockwise, and it circulates around high pressure areas clockwise. So why is this important? Well, a nor'easter is a low pressure area that forms typically somewhere in the mid-Atlantic states. Sometimes it's actually two low pressure areas coming together to make one bigger one. And then it continues to travel on up the coast, often off the coast, and passes by New York, passes by Cape Cod, keeps going out into the North Atlantic. So as it goes, the wind is circulating around in a counterclockwise direction. And if you think about it for a minute, when this storm is off the coast of, let's say, New York or Massachusetts, the winds that are coming onto Massachusetts are coming from the northeast. In weather language, you refer to a wind by the direction it's coming from. So essentially this is a northeast wind, a northeaster, or they've shortened it to be cute to nor'easter, and that's what a nor'easter is. Now what makes this particularly heavy storm often is that there's often a high pressure area to the north, say off the coast of Maine or Nova Scotia, somewhere like that. And that ends up blocking the travel of this low pressure area. And so they call it a blocking high. Sometimes the weather forecasters will refer to a nor'easter as having stalled. That's what's going on. It's being blocked from moving out. And so when it stalls, what happens is these northeast winds are swirling around and around. And as they circulate, they pick up moisture over the ocean. And then when they bring that moisture out over the cold land, it drops out in the form of snow. And so if this storm isn't moving anywhere, this is just spinning and spinning and spinning, and it's just essentially a snow pump at this point. And it's just pumping the moist air, turning it into snow, dumping the snow, more moist air, more snow, more moist air, more snow, and it can sometimes build up to quite a bit. This last storm, by the official totals, we got 20.4 inches here in Littleton. That's a fair amount of snow. So that's a nor'easter, and that's why it's a big deal. So what's a blizzard? Well, a nor'easter can be a blizzard. In fact, blizzards probably usually are nor'easters, but it doesn't have to be. A blizzard actually has a fairly definite definition. In order to be classified as a blizzard, you have to have at least 3 hours of sustained 35-mile-an-hour winds and less than quarter-a-mile visibility. That means there's so much snow coming down you can't see a quarter of a mile. And this has to go on for at least 3 hours. Typically here in New England, we get about one official blizzard every year. So you can see that a lot of our snowstorms are not blizzards. Another kind of a snowstorm you might hear on the weather is they'll refer to as an Alberta clipper. What's an Alberta clipper? Well, clipper refers to a clipper ship, and back in the day when wind powered our sailing ships, a clipper was one of the fastest ships there was. So an Alberta clipper is a low pressure area that forms typically over Canada, around about Alberta, and it then comes pushing across the country, pushed by the jet stream. In America, the prevailing winds are from west to east. And it just comes roaring across the Midwest, across Pennsylvania, New York, across Massachusetts, and out to sea. And typically it's fast moving. Typically an Alberta clipper will drop maybe 1 or 2 inches of snow, but it just kind of pushes its way through, and that's that. It can be intense, but it doesn't last very long. So what about when they talk about snow showers? Well, a snow shower is, it's like a rain shower, except it's snow. It's basically a brief period of snow, and it can be light, it can be heavy, it can be windy, it can be calm. It's just basically a brief snowstorm. If it's particularly intense, they might refer to it as a snow squall. That's a really, windy, gusty, lot of snow. But again, it's just a snow shower. It's not going to last very long. Well, what about flurries? Well, flurries, think of flurries as sort of nuisance snow. I mean, flurries are not necessarily associated with any storm. Sometimes they're at the beginning of a storm or at the very end of a storm, and sometimes they're just for other reasons. And flurries are just light snow, just a little bit here and there. Often associated with flurries, you hear the term dusting. We'll get a dusting of snow. And dusting is just what it sounds like. Picture if you're making a cake, a chocolate cake, and you want to decorate it, but you don't want to work too hard. So you take out some confectioner sugar and you sprinkle it over the top. You get a little bit of a nice little look there. That's a dusting. It's basically, you can see the snow, it's not enough to shovel. It's just nuisance. No big deal. One other kind of snow, which we don't really see around here, but you might hear referred to, is lake effect snow. Now around here, we might get ocean effect snow, which is the same thing. And if you remember back to the nor'easter, whenever you've got wind coming from a moist area and then blowing onto cold, dry land, you'll get snow. Basically, it picks up the moisture and dumps it on the land. Well, remember the winds blow from west to east. So if you're living in western New York, say around Buffalo or somewhere like that, the prevailing winds, even on a nice day, will be blowing from west to east. They'll be blowing over the Great Lakes, picking up moisture, and then they get over the land and they dump the moisture in the form of snow. And lake effect, not associated with any particular storm, and it can go on for days, sometimes weeks. I mean, you can get huge amounts of snow in Buffalo. Here, it's not so common because, remember, the winds blow from west to east, but if you get a weather condition where the winds are coming from the ocean, you could get what they call ocean effect snow, which is the same sort of thing. And in effect, at nor'easter is really ocean effect, but since it's a storm, we kind of talk about it as a nor'easter. And then there's thunder snow. Yes, that's a real thing. Picture a thunderstorm, except instead of rain is snow coming down. So basically, in the middle of what looks like a blizzard, in the middle of a snowstorm, you suddenly hear thunder. That's thunder snow. In fact, the weather report said that up in Andover this past nor'easter, they had some thunder snow. Thunder snow. There's all kinds of stuff. So that's pretty much snow. I want to talk about a couple more kinds of precipitation we see in winter. One is sleet. Sleet is little ice pellets. If you're driving, you hear it sort of pinging off the windshield. And sleet is snow that drops through a warm pocket of air and partially melts and then refreezes as it hits cold air again. And so you still maintain sort of this integrity, but it turns into a little pellet instead of a nice, pretty little snowflake. The other kind of a precipitation, which is much more nasty, is what they call freezing rain, or you might be referred to as an ice storm. This is where the snow melts completely. And it's still coming down in very cold air. In fact, what happens is because, so interesting little thing about snow is that you need a dust particle or something, what they call a nucleation point, for it to freeze out onto. And what happens if you melt it completely is you've now got this water, which is below temperature, below freezing temperature. It's what they call supercooled, but there's no dust particle, there's no nucleation point, so it doesn't refreeze. It just comes down as super cold water. And what happens is when it hits something on the ground that's below freezing, it just freezes instantly. So it's like it's freezing rain. So it's freezing rain. It's like it's raining ice, sorta. At any rate, it coats everything. It coats branches. You know, if this goes on for a while, you can get half inch of ice all coating all the branches. It tends to make trees very heavy, and these are the sort of storms that break trees and break telephone poles and bring the wires down. Some of the biggest power outages I can remember here in Littleton were because of ice storms or freezing rain. And it's particularly nasty if you're driving, because if the roads haven't been treated, when it hits the road, it just turns into ice, sheet ice. They call this black ice because ice is clear and you can't see it. What you're seeing is the black road beneath it. Black ice is just ice, but it just turns everything to sheet ice. It's nasty. Freezing rain, not my favorite. That's how to talk like a New Englander about snow. Till next time, this is Dave. Hi, I'm Dave. Here in New England. Hi, I'm Dave.